So either can be a like a Christmas ornament or a honey dipper. See the little grooves in there. So anyway, that's what that is. And there's a little dimple in the top. You can tell, actually, turned it with between centers. This little dimple I left in the top because there was going to be a little bird in there that I was going to turn and carve. And it was so realistic and so lifelike that it flew away. So, but it was supposed to go in there in the top. So anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Next.
Well, Sue carved the birds for a birdhouse, and most of the Christmas work I've been doing this year has been in carving, although I did include 2 or 3 pieces that had some turning on them, but they're Santas that I carved out of basswood and painted with acrylic paints. Thanks. Thank you.
Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to make one this year or this month, but I saw on Pinterest that somebody turned some of these out of just a natural edge, so I thought I'd try it. I tried that one last week with walnut dowel stuck in the end, and then this afternoon I went out and just took a full log and did that one, which I think is probably a little bit better. I need to probably refine them a little bit more, but that's what they are now.
This is the ornament that I turned at the demo in November. I added some wood burning on the top to give it the look of a thatched roof. And you've seen those pieces before, just a little bit different. And then for my own challenge, I wanted to see if I could make a birdhouse from pen blanks. And so pen blanks with a tiny bird.
Okay, this of course is inspired from the demo last month or November. This, I did the 6-pointed star piece here, and I just got a new challenge. I was talking to Anthony about this, but not only is it put together so this can spin around, but it's also threaded, so you can take that off and put it back together if you so please. So, and then the bell was one I started I did most of them last year, but and then the other thing is I got this piece of wood in the garbage in the shop, and I thought, wow, that'd be a great stand for something, and so I had to use it.
Well, this little ornament here, I don't know if you can see that. I turned that a month or so ago. I was going to turn a fresh one, but Mother Nature had other ideas with the power. But it's a Australian burl with a bur oak cap. Jerry Darter was telling us about those, and he brought me in one. So that's what I made that with. So that's it.
Well, of course, it's segmented. That's my nature. The biggest thing for this one problem was the open segmented part in the middle, because when you cut the segments, if they're off just a little bit, it'll work fine. But for the open, I wanted an 1/8 of an inch gap, and I wanted a specific size diameter. Well, I just kept fiddling with it and fiddling with it and fiddling. I had nothing but problems. I couldn't figure out how to get them so that they were all consistently the same size until I started using I put a little wood screw in the end of my jig, and that made it worked out. So then I could fine tune it with that wood screw rather than and then trying to hollow it. I was going to hollow through the hole in the top. Well, that didn't work. So I ended up doing them in halves. I'd do this half and hollow it, then do this hollow this half, and then put the 2 halves together. This one's got, I think there's 24 pieces, there's 12 pieces per each ring.
This is the branch from which my ornament came. I originally wanted to try to do some natural edge and make a Christmas tree like this, but it didn't quite work out. So I used my beading tool that we had made from last year and Mike's parting tool, and this is what I got.
Well, she said what you're returning for this Christmas, and I just like to turn. This is a real good idea. You make it, and then you put candy canes in it, and give it to kids. Like if you leave me alone, all of a sudden I'll make these, and then suddenly I'll put wine glasses in the bottom and the finial. Of course, Christmas is a great time for space invasions. Somebody brought these caps last summer. I have no idea what they are. Bur oak? Okay. Because I really like them, and I'd like to get more of them. And this is the happiest one I made. This is called Woodworker's Glitter Ornament. Maybe I can sell these to people. After all, they did do a pet rock one time. But I just like turning those things. Oh, yeah, I did do the challenge over here. So... yeah, and this one here is one of those Ron Brown jobs, which drives you insane when you turn it because you just know any second you're going to go through the whole dumb thing. Okay.
I had a very nice piece of walnut, which I was decided I'd make it something that it would be serve multiple purposes. So the first thing was to turn a modern Christmas tree, and you can see through the sides of it. As much trouble as we had at the competition, I figured this would fit in. But in any case, the other side is a Christmas emblem. You put it upside down and hang it up. But the most interesting thing was the walnut. That this is a piece of black walnut. It's also related to the bowl I'll show a little bit later. And then that's my story, and I'm happy to say it worked out very well. And Jerry probably has one of these, only I said there was some significance to 10 years of wood of life for every groove. You know, I think he had a birthday. I'm not sure. I'm telling tales out of school, but in any case, I was happy to give it to Jerry and share with him. So.
So I'm the one who lined Anthony up for his demo, and ever since I did that, I've been interested in the lattice work type stuff. So I've been working on just taking little chunks of wood and doing lattice on both sides of it, not worrying about it being a lid or anything. And this is just taking that and making an ornament out of it, basically. But if you look, there's places that broke while I was doing it, and as long as I broke it symmetrically on the other side and did a nice little job sanding it, it just kind of looked like it was part of the sculpture.
Everybody for the challenge? Okay. You got a ticket?
I have a ticket. Right kind of ticket, I hope. I made a bell. And it's got a dinger in it. And so it's a goblet without a bottom, it looks like.
Okay. That's everyone who is a challenge item. Pull out your tickets because we are going to have a drawing for the tool. Now we need an impartial third party. Let's see.
I'm impartial.
Pull one out and read the last 3 digits for us.
806.
Okay. Chris, congratulations. You won a Skuka gouge or, yeah, well, whatever it is. Have fun turning it. Okay, moving right along. We have a number of little show and tell items here. And Anthony, is this a cat bathtub again? Okay. Well, I'm right here. I'm going to go first. Now, I have turned all kinds of stuff. What I did was, remember when Jason Clark was here in February and he did the lidded box with a twist? Well, it had information about how to do that with, 3 points. Well, I tried it with 4 points and 5 points. And it's interesting. You can tell how, you're carving that shadow, and it's supposed to be concave, makes the straight walls, and if you have it flat, it makes on the outside like that. If you have it really, it would, or convex, it would be real weird. But anyway, I did this looking at, these were all baseball bat blank sections. So it was the same wood, about the same size, and the difference in the points. I learned quite a bit about doing it, but it's really kind of interesting, and we're cracked on the bottom. But I didn't finish these or anything because it was really just more to study the form and the way these work. But I learned a lot. It was really interesting. And from this one, since there were 5 sides, and with not much figure to the wood, I got out my needle scaler and went to work for about 20 seconds and textured this one side here. And that's what that is. So that, as well as a little cherry plate I turned that is, I must have got some bad Mahoney's oil or something, because I put this on here first week of December, and it still seems like it hasn't really polymerized or hardened. And so I don't know if he didn't boil it, or Mike didn't boil it enough or what. But anyway, I thought that was really kind of a pretty little cherry plate. But that's what it is. So that's my story. Next. Oh.
So I've been turning
That's
candles
what I
for a little while.
do it now.
This is like number 8 or something.
Thanks.
And I got this idea. I buy these for $1 or $2 at the dollar store.
It's been in my shop.
And I decided that I was just going to make a candlestick and a candle out of the candle. And that was fun. That was a fun idea. I didn't put a finish on it. I didn't sand it. That's it. What? Yeah, it's a candle. I think it's kind of like particle board.
Okay. I took 3
quote unquote 1-inch boards, oak, birch, and cherry, and then glued them together flat, and then just started cutting. And every time you cut different sections and glue them back together, you got to edge it again, obviously. And then I decided, once I saw the pattern, I made it 8-sided to highlight its Paduke in the middle of the red. So, and this is finished with the mahogany oil and then his wax situation, so it's food safe. And mine worked out good. It dried, so okay. Yeah.
Our grandkids from Texas came January 2nd through the 6th, and they were so disappointed we didn't have snow. Now they're disappointed because I sent them pictures of the snow. But Brendan and Ashley are in 3rd grade, and Brendan likes the planets, so I made a planet for him for Christmas. And, of course, they couldn't take their Christmas gifts home, so now we have a truckload of stuff we have to take down in February. But Ashley likes to pick up seashells in Galveston, and so I have the surf coming up in the beach and a big seashell, and if you don't like that seashell, you just turn it over and you have another seashell. And, of course, the seashell's loose, so she can put her necklaces and earrings in the little jewelry box. So.
Great balls of fire.
Great balls of fire, right.
One of our meetings, Kevin sent me a picture of a bowl that's made like this, and we sat around trying to figure out how to do it, what the pattern would, how you could do it, and get so that the black little, or the vertical lines separate. I mean, the black lines don't go through. They stop at each of the vertical lines. And so I started, once he gives me a challenge, that's one of the things I try and make it to figure out how to do it. And I finally figured this one out. And if I was going to do it again, I think I'd make it a little smaller. It got too big. I think the big pieces are too long. I think they needed to be a little bit shorter to make it look right. But it was a lot of fun. Basically, what you do. You make a block like this. It's got the wingy on each side, 3/4 inch piece, and then the wingy on each side. You cut your segments to whatever size you need to be, and then you take it. And if I do it again, I'd use a router table instead of a table saw, because when the table saw, I don't have my stacked dado set doesn't cut even enough that it wouldn't. So you basically cut down so where you're just starting to see the oak, and then you sand it. Well, if you're not careful how you're sanding, you get a little bit of an arc to it, and then you start getting the lines don't line up anymore. So it works out pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun.
We have a 2-for-1 here. First, I'll deal with the little Christmas tree ornament I made. This was from the same piece of wood, turned it, and then my sister does this polymer clay, and she had sent me some of that, and so I decided I would integrate that, and she had done a piece that she posted, and I had turned her a 6-inch tall by 5-inch wide toolbox for her tools that she works with the clay, and then she put a red and a design in it, and so she's had, I don't know, huge number of Facebook responses to it. It worked out just great. So she had to do the work, and I did the fun stuff and sent her a Christmas present. Well, long story short, this is kind of fun to work with. The only thing you got to be careful of is you've got to heat the polymer to about 200 degrees at least in order to cure it. And so what you need is one of those little optical pyrometer tools that says how hot is it, and you got a laser beam, and you put it on there while you're putting your your hot gun on a variable transformer, and you can just dial up the temperature, and it's just a duck soup after you figure that out. So anyway, I was very happy with how that turned out, except you probably don't know it, but it's got a reinforced bottom on it. It was close, and it bowed, and I said, okay, well, let's just turn a little piece and put it on the bottom. So if you put the line, you probably couldn't find it. So I was happy about that. But this was my pride and joy for the week, and I'm very happy with this. This is a neighbor's tree that was a mature 3-foot plus of a black walnut. And when we had all that rain in the fall, the tree decided it had to go, or did go. And so I was real happy with how the feather turned out in this. And this is a tung oil finish. And I've got the center sections yet, and then I've got the next project behind this one is a walnut burl. It's got 17.5-inch outer bowl and 2 inner ones. So it's going to be, and it's all solid walnut burl. So if it all works out, we'll see it someday. Otherwise, I told you about it and it never happened.
How do you want it? This piece of burly white oak that I picked up a board about 15 years ago, and just had to have it, and cut out a blank and put it behind the lathe. And sure enough, about every time I turned something, it turned around. The last 15 years, it was sitting there. So finally got around to turning it. The only problem was you start out at 5/4 material, but it warped on me a little bit. So by the time I finished, it was 3/4 material. So I made the rim a little concave or convex there to try to give more of an illusion of depth to it. That's just sprayed lacquer.
Had another baby in the office. Yay. This was kind of fun because it was kind of a new take on the rattles that I had been doing. Had 2 round ends, and I wanted more of a Morocco. I've actually hollowed out the end and put beads in there that'll rattle. But then I got worried about, well, baby can stick that end down its mouth. And so I broke a ring and re-glued it, and I'm hoping for the best. I'm going to tell the mom so she doesn't let the baby loose with it.
Okay, any other show and tell items? Is that everything? Chuck's got one.
This is something I just wanted to see if it anything, because it was so punky on the outside. And it went, finally got down, and it went fairly good. Really love the grain. This is this exotic wood called curb, and it seems to be nice. Yeah, there's a lot of. There's going to be more of this, a whole lot by this weekend.
This is Sean's fault. Yeah. So my mom's getting married in a couple weeks, and so I thought I would make them a wine goblet with captured rings. So it's in the process of getting turned. I worked on it for about 30 minutes today, and Thursday I'm going to learn how to do captured rings. So I'll bring it back in February and show you the final product.
Any other show and tell items tonight? Okay. Well, our meeting tonight, and next meeting is February 11th.